Everyone thinks a SpaceX IPO will open the floodgates, but a top VC says 2026 will still be a brutal, winner-take-most market where most unicorns get left to die private. Stay to the end, because there's one monetization lever he says OpenAI hasn't fully pulled yet. If they do, it could instantly change who really pays for the AI arms race.
Big Databricks coming up, so that one may be a little bit of an indicator. But yeah, this is massive.
Does it open the floodgates to some others, or is it still highly selective?
I think it will continue to be highly selective, but it will at least open the floodgate up so you can be selective. How about that? So when we think about the business model, it's not exactly an AI, although with Elon talking about building out data centers in space, who knows, maybe there's an AI play in there.
I feel like everything kind of is, especially as it revolves around him, AI, robotics, and whatever else. You guys were in Anthropic. You're in Anthropic
Correct.
Early, right?
Yes, Series D.
How are you guys thinking about that? You as an investor, as a venture capitalist?
Yeah, we love the business model and the fact that Dario had two insights early on while he was at OpenAI. He had the insight around making models more efficient so that they would require less compute and then less data, and then also constitutional AI, which placed some guardrails around AI. That had two big implications. First, we now know that Anthropic is projected to reach cash flow break even first. And that's what we saw that was really enticing to us, was the fact that Dario was interested in making the model efficient, not going after video, and then with constitutional AI really setting the stage to be really credible with the enterprise market, which now we're seeing Anthropic is doing extremely well and driving great revenue as a result.
How are you viewing the arms race, which has had some new developments, whereas we thought Alphabet was sort of left on the side of the road. All of a sudden, we feel like they're not only maybe, I don't know if in the driver's seat, but they feel like they're right there. They're like riding shotgun if they're not driving it.
Without question. And as an ex-Googler, I always thought that there was going to be something that Google was going to be able to do. The question was, were they going to be able to balance that importance between the innovator's dilemma of not cannibalizing their search engine and all the revenues that drives with this new approach to being able to almost somewhat replace, or in Google's case, enhance search. But when you combine that with the fact that, $350 billion in revenues, about $85 to $90 billion in free cash flow, they're going to build out about $90 billion in capex. Now, they could choose to finance that completely with cash flow. But they've decided to issue $25 billion in some cheaper debt, so that a portion of that will refinance existing debt and a portion will be used to finance the capex, because they want to continue to pay out dividends, do stock buybacks. So, they're in a really good position. That, coupled with the vertical integration, their use of their custom application-specific integrated circuits, the TPUs, which live alongside the GPUs, but more and more that workload is shifting to TPUs.
Last week, Sam Altman was on this network as part of an exclusive interview around the Disney announcement, and he was asked about Gemini 3 and the impact that it was having on OpenAI, and he said something to the effect of, it's not having an impact on our metrics as much as we had feared. I think those are the words he used, as much as we had feared.
Right.
You think that there's more fear inside that building, so to speak, than they want to let on about what Gemini 3 seems to be?
Here's what I would say. I would say a lot of people want to make this question about, well, is it Gemini? Is it ChatGPT that's better? I don't think that's the right question. In fact, the way that I think about it, the better question is, okay, which business model and balance sheet is going to deliver on the promise of AI? And when you look at Google, to go back to that, they've got the balance sheet. But don't count OpenAI out. Just like I said, don't count Google out. Don't count OpenAI out. Once OpenAI really opens the floodgates on going after the ad market, I think that's what it's going to take to be able to finance some of this. They should not try and go head-to-head against Google and replicate that model. It's just too expensive. They don't have the resources. OpenAI needs to do what it does best. It's trained the users on this new behavior, and we've seen many instances where consumer behavior translates over onto business behavior as well. But what they need to do is they need to monetize it with ads, because that's ultimately what Google got right, is the aggregation of all of these 800 million users in the case of OpenAI, and they can monetize that with ads.